welcome back to Eagle Centric, and we have a whole lot to jump into here on Eagle Centric with contract negotiations. How is he going to attack this offseason? The offseason is heating up. Pro day is heating up. The draft is right around the corner, and we have a whole lot to jump into today. So let's stop listening to me yap and jump right into it. Eagle Centric.
Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you.
He's at the 20.
They should stop this one.
What you got? Domination! Snot bubbles!
He throws. Complete. Touchdown. They've got him again. They've got him again. Sack.
Crumpler, what a throw, what a hit, what a catch.
Defense is just way too much for the count.
It's caught by Alshon Jeffrey for a touchdown. He pushes. Touchdown. Jalen Hurts. Touchdown. A.J. Brown. A run. He's going to score.
It's a touchdown by Nick Foles.
The train is in the end zone. Touchdown.
Torrey Smith.
In for the touchdown is Jeffrey in. Touchdown. Jalen Hurts.
So one thing that the Eagles won't have to worry about this offseason is Lane Johnson. Is Lane Johnson going to be back for the Birds? Will Lane Johnson be back after that horrible injury? He didn't get to play in the playoffs. He didn't get to play in the finals a couple of weeks before the playoffs due to that Liz Frank injury. And we know that we won't have to worry about this because Lane Johnson was spotted at Rook's Performance Gym in Oklahoma, where Lane Johnson resides. And this is awesome for the Birds, and this is also awesome for us as fans now that we know, actually seeing Lane Johnson through this workout, we know that the foot is feeling better, and we also know that Lane Johnson will be back for the 2026 season. I also have been saying this since the beginning of the offseason. I never thought Lane Johnson was going to be retiring. I didn't think he was going to be leaving the Birds, not anytime soon, but just not this season. After this season, it could really be a conversation, but, this is one of the guys, one of the legends on the Birds who probably will most likely be back. Not even probably, not even most likely. He's guaranteed to be back. Now, one of the guys who is a most likely is Brandon Graham, who is cheap but has spoken about on his show coming back to the Birds. He said he wants to come back if Howie would allow him to be back. Like I said, he also is cheap, so that's a guarantee that if he comes back, it'll be guaranteed cheap. And also, Brandon Graham, this season and the season before, 2024 and 2025, looked awesome. Now, one thing that we spoke about on my last episode was the hire of Chris Kuper, offensive lineman coach, who is officially here to replace Jeff Stoutland. And I've seen a lot of people give him flack on social media because of what the Minnesota Vikings offensive line looked like, where he was for 4 years prior. And if you look at that Minnesota Vikings line and you compare it to the Birds offensive line, just on paper, I know the Birds didn't have the best season last year, but just looking at the two offensive lines, comparing them, the Minnesota Vikings have nothing compared to what the Eagles have on their offensive line. No stars, the personnel is bad, and there are a ton of injuries. And that is one reason why I kind of give Chris Kuper the grace to say, he might be able to do better in Philly. He was a top name as far as offensive lineman coaches in 2022, 2023. So that is one of the reasons why he got a job in Minnesota. It's just when you look at some of the things that went wrong in Minnesota last season, he had to put together 25 different offensive lineman combinations, which is just insane. And like I said, thinking about what the Minnesota Vikings have on their offensive line, the personnel is bad, the injuries, and like I said, if you don't have that talent plus the health, you're going to have to put together 25 different combinations on your offensive line. Now, I think with these combinations of coaches, because we have a whole new coaching staff in Philadelphia, this is going to be a rebirth, right? This is going to be a new offensive look. You have Josh Grizzard, you have Sean Mannion, you have Ryan Mahaffey, you have Chris Kuper, and I'm pretty sure that, in the future, more guys are going to be coming in, and it's going to keep looking different. Now, as of now, this is your coaching staff. This is your 2026 offensive coaching staff. And I think with all of the mixture of guys that you have in there, you have some play callers in there who have some experience, who didn't have the most successful experience but have experience, and you have some guys who are new to their position like Sean Mannion, but also bringing in some guys that he know can help him like Ryan Mahaffey, Chris Kuper, who worked with Sean Mannion when he was a quarterback, and also Chris Kuper worked underneath Vic Fangio. So there's familiarity on the coaching staff, offensively and defensively. There's nothing, in my opinion, to worry about on that end. Now, how he is shaking up this offensive coaching staff, like I just told you, Ryan Mahaffey, Chris Kuper, Sean Mannion, and etc. But he's going to also have to get into these contract negotiations sooner than later when you're speaking about guys like Dallas Goedert, who already is a free agent, and his contract is due now. Like, looking at Goddard's contract, it's going to cost the Birds $20.5 million in dead cap space if his contract goes void at the start of the 2026 season, which I know Howie won't let happen, but that is the scenario that we're dealing with here. That is the facts that we're dealing with here. But Goddard is about to be 30 years old, which is the age in which the modern day NFL starts to send its players to the old folks' home. So will Goddard's agent demand a huge price to keep him in Philly? Can we get a friendly deal out of Goddard? We shall see. In addition to him producing a career-high 11 touchdowns in 2025, though, if it wasn't for Goddard's clutch performance in a couple of games for Philadelphia, the Eagles could have really been out of a lot of those close games. And that'll be leverage for him and his agent during negotiations. It's going to be very interesting to see what Howie and Goddard's agent can work out contractually. I would rather keep Goddard. But if we decided to move on from him, go get a guy like Kenyon Sadiq, I really wouldn't be upset. I would love to see Philly draft a young tight end. But, whatever. Goddard did miss one game. So, that is another piece of leverage that he's going to be able to take into contract negotiations with him.
At the Super Bowl, dapped it up, chopped it up with him. I don't think. Oh, and I saw Jalen Hurts. Saw Jalen at the Super Bowl, sitting in a corner by himself with sunglasses on his phone.
He give you one word answer, didn't he?
I didn't even talk to him. I just seen him. I was wondering, like, I go into this back room because I'm meeting everybody in the room. Hey, Acho, so-and-so, so-and-so. I don't really know all these young bulls. We on TV, so they know us. Yeah. See Terrion Arnold plays for the Lions. I see Milton Williams' parents. Thanks for speaking so kindly of my son. Milton Williams starting D tackle for the Patriots. I see Will Anderson. Hey, bro, it's love, it's love. Yeah. Go to the back room, see Nicole Lynn. Nicole Lynn is the agent to Jalen Hurts and all these individuals I just named. I'm like, why ain't nobody in here? I'm turning around, I leave. I just see Jalen sitting down by himself, sunglasses on, da-da-da. Read nothing into that. Or read everything into that. Yeah. Like, you at a party with your peers.
Like it always is, the conversation around Jalen Hurts has gotten even more aggravating, even more idiotic, and even more redundant. Now we're speaking about his even-keeled, stoic personality that we always spoken about. But just look at this. Just think about this. In the beginning of Jalen Hurts' career, especially when he became a starter for the Eagles, that stoic personality is what we praised the most. It wasn't until we seen Jalen Hurts' highs and lows in the NFL is when we start to call it, he's stoic. Oh, he stays away from people. He doesn't talk. When we seen those lows, we like to kick them in when they're down. That's what the media loves to do. So now when the Eagles are having a bad season and Jalen Hurts didn't speak as much during the season, he's stoic. He doesn't speak to his players that much, to his own teammates that much. Fans in the locker room have an issue with Jalen Hurts. And you see players year in and year out come out and say there is nothing wrong with our relationship in the locker room with Jalen Hurts. That is just the type of guy he is. Once you speak to him, you would understand that he is approachable. But this whole approachable, unapproachable title that they try to put on Jalen is so irrelevant. First of all, who cares if he is approachable or unapproachable? Because honestly, I couldn't care less. As long as he's a winner. Is he a winner or is he not? Justin Fields, I'm pretty sure, is very approachable. Justin Herbert is, I'm pretty sure, very approachable. A lot of these losers in the NFL, I'm pretty sure, are very approachable. But, what does that do for you in your career? I'm pretty sure that the players themselves could care less if, hey, am I approachable or not? That means nothing when you're speaking about wins and what the players are doing on the field. Jalen Hurts on the field has won games. Jalen Hurts off the field doesn't put himself in front of the media in order for you to put all these titles around him. So sometimes it just sounds like people are making up things and there's an agenda, which we all know there is. We all know that Jalen Hurts was supposed to be, well, the predictions were putting him to have a career like Justin Herbert, was to have a career like Ryan Tannehill. They thought Justin Herbert was going to be the next, great QB in the NFL, right behind Mahomes, and this big statured quarterback with a big arm. He's like the prototype quarterback. And they thought Jalen Hurts was going to be bottom of the barrel, journeyman, maybe a bust. They didn't think he'd be a successful QB in the league. So to see the success that Jalen has had, because it has been top-notch success. We're not talking about a couple of playoff runs and going home. We know the success that Jalen Hurts has had with the Birds. And I'll defend it every time because, like I said before, and I don't say it a lot because I don't indulge in a lot of the idiotic conversations, but no Jalen Hurts slander will be tolerated here on Eagle Centric. We love Jalen here. We don't want to hear about what are they going to do at the quarterback position. Of course, the Birds are going to go and get a quarterback in the draft if Tanner McKee walks out of the building. I was going to skip that whole conversation, but there's no reason to. There's no need to. We can actually speak about that. Tanner McKee, he might walk away from the Birds this year, and I don't mean just walk off. The Birds are going to get some type of draft capital for him or trade him off, or there's going to be something to get for McKee if he decides, if Howie, the general manager for the Eagles, decide to get rid of Tanner McKee. Like, that's a given. He's not just going to leave and the Birds get no capital for him. But to think about Kyle McCord, who the Birds went and got in the 4th round, if I'm not mistaken, or the 5th, and he was, one of the worst picks that the Birds had in the draft. The Birds went and got rid of him during the regular season. So now you're stuck with one backup quarterback in Tanner McKee, who, if he leaves, you are down to who? So you want to go and get a backup quarterback, maybe in the 4th round, possibly in the 5th round of this draft. It's not a big deal. But when Jeremy Fowler goes on Get Up in the morning and say, executives around the league are saying that the Birds might go and draft a quarterback, media in Philadelphia eats it up, and now the topic around Jalen Hurts and the quarterback position is just nonstop. Like, the conversations are nonstop. And then you get guys like Emmanuel Acho, because this all leads into what I'm speaking about now. You get guys like Emmanuel Acho who say things like this. Well, he didn't really speak to anyone at the Super Bowl. He didn't really, is there any camaraderie there with Jalen Hurts and any guys in the NFL? Will Anderson, who was there, who's also much better than him, shall I say. What does that have to do with the main conversation? And what does Jalen Hurts being to himself on his phone, not speaking to anyone at an event, have to do with the conversation? And to be honest, Acho, you were wrong, because we've seen plenty pictures of Jalen Hurts at the Super Bowl, at the events around the Super Bowl, speaking and congregating with everyone. So the fact that you probably seen him, someone that we know, publicly has been known that Jalen Hurts probably isn't your friend. They say that you put your hand off him to shake and he didn't shake it at a game not too long ago. So I'm pretty sure when he saw you, his reaction was, which would be anyone's reaction if they saw someone that they're not too, cool with, and we're probably in the same room or in the same vicinity. I don't want to be seen by you. I don't want you to feel like you can come over here and speak to me because whatever. But to see a man, for one man to see another man and say, well, when I saw him, he didn't speak. He was on his phone. It's very girl-like. Like, who cares, dude? This is the NFL. These are grown men. Like, if they don't speak, who cares? Are they winners or are they not? Maybe we see that's like the issue here. The main thing has gotten, we've pushed the main thing so far away from what it is. Like, the main thing now is to look pretty before the games and to have a pretty arm and to throw pretty and have these great stats and the style points. Winning is like the last thing that these teams and these players and everyone cares about anymore. It's like one of the top winners in the NFL is Jalen Hurts at quarterback. And we steadily speak about this guy like he's just some bum who's came into the NFL and have just luckily made it. No, this hasn't happened. You don't get in the Super Bowl by luck. You don't win Super Bowls by luck. You don't get in MVP conversations by luck. You have to put the work in and bust your ass in the NFL a little extra harder than you would do, I feel like, in my opinion, any other sport, the greatest sport in America, the NFL. But like, to speak about Jalen, and when you talk about all these hyperbolic, you have all these hyperbolic takes, it just sounds so idiotic and girly. And to see guys like Sean Bradley come for Jalen's defense makes me feel so much better when he tells Emmanuel Acho, excuse my French, to shut the F up. Right? And then he goes on to speak about how well Jalen has been of a guy and a teammate to him. And then you got guys like Britton Covey, who also have spoken out about how well of a teammate and a guy that Jalen Hurts has been to him as well. So like these narratives around Jalen and these like all these like BS points and these hyperbolic takes, like I know they're never gonna stop because people are gonna always need something to talk about, but like they have to stop eventually. Like I always say, in the next 10 years, we're going to look back at Jalen's career, maybe 15, depending on how long Jalen is in the NFL for. But after he's done, we're going to look back at Jalen's career and we're going to say, what a legend. And to be honest, I'm just happy and I'm just grateful to say that he's on my team. He's my quarterback. And I'm going to always come to bat for him on this show, off this show, wherever. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. It doesn't matter where we are. You speak about Jalen in that light, if I feel like it's a conversation worth having, we're going to have it. So you know how I feel about that. And to be honest, man, there's not much news that's surrounding the Birds right now outside of the Goddard contract, Lane Johnson on his way back, and, of course, the A.J. Brown. And then we have guys like Emmanuel Acho speaking about my quarterback, which is the reason why I hurry up and jumped on this show so we could talk about that, which is the biggest portion of the show, because guys go to speaking about my guy Jalen, and I gotta give my take and give my opinion. I see it, I hear it, I hate it though, and yeah, as my dog barks. So we're here at Eagle Centric, hanging out like always. You guys know the routine here: like, comment, share, subscribe, and let me know how you feel down below about everything in the comments. See you on the next episode. Thanks for watching. Be blessed and go Birds.
She ain't ready for it. If I ain't the greatest, then I'm headed for it. Yeah, that mean I'm way up. Yeah, 60 friendly with the sway out there.